Hey guys, I've decided to do a third part to dealing with a sociopath. In my first video I put up a few years ago, and it's gotten a great response. A lot of people have written in, emailed me, commented, and just to tell me their stories of dealing with abusers in their life, narcissists, sociopaths, and I wanted to start off by saying that for anyone out there that's dealing with this sort of thing and being a victim of abuse, being a victim of bullying, and just being targeted by these people, I just want to say that this is not your fault. And the abuser or the narcissist will blame you for everything. They will manipulate the situation in a way that they want you to take all the blame and to feel guilty and to basically live in misery, to feel sorry for yourself, to even feel sorry for the abuser as well. And they will spin things to make them look like the hero and make you look like the villain, even though you're the victim. So it's so mentally exhausting and traumatic to have to deal with these people, especially if you're dealing with this for a long period of time. I want you to feel that you're not alone, that there are other people out there that are going through the same thing as you, that this is not your fault, you're not to blame. These people that are doing this, these abusers, are mentally ill, they have mental disorders, and they are doing this out of complete selfishness. And, I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush. Some abusers have themselves been victims of abuse. Their behavior can also be symptoms of trauma that they've experienced, and perhaps they're being bullied as well, or have been in the past. That does not excuse their behavior, but I'm just saying that a lot of the time, abusers have also been abused at some point in their lives too. It's not always a black and white situation. So in this video, I wanted to go over a summary of everything that I've said so far, and also I wanted to tell some new stories, some new experiences that I've had, because when you have sociopaths or narcissists in the family, for a lot of people that doesn't go away, especially if you're living in the same house as them. The type of abuse and the mistreatment from people can be very severe, and it can lead to mental illness in the victim, and just living in fear all the time. It's a terrible thing where you're living a high-stress life because of these people in your life. And whatever circumstances that you have, maybe these abusers are being protected by the family, or it's just an ongoing battle with this person, especially if this person is very passive-aggressive. I guess you could say sabotages you behind the scenes, backstabs you, bullies you when no one's looking, and then when they have an audience, they act like they're all innocent. So it can be very traumatic and stressful to deal with. It's harder when you have to be around these people frequently. I want to start off by telling a couple stories, and then I will go into the psychology of narcissists and sociopaths, as well as some solutions and self-care that you need to do when you're dealing with these people. So I will start off by saying that for privacy reasons, I won't be mentioning specifics of who these people are that I've been dealing with. I'll give you a basic overview of what has happened and what the experience was. So we'll start off by saying that I've grown up my whole life. I've had to deal with bullies, and I think that the last time that I actually was, had a lot of friends and was very popular was in grade 2. Literally was in grade 2, and that was a lifetime ago. And then my life slowly went downhill from there. So I've been bullied for most of my life, starting in grade 3 all the way to the end of high school. Verbal abuse, physical abuse, and bullying, harassment, threats. I've had to deal with that my whole youth, and therefore I really had a lot of my youth taken away from me because I lived in fear my whole life. And I mean, it wasn't like I woke up every morning, in a panic. I lived my life. I had passions. I was very independent. I had a lot of interests, and I went out of my way to follow those passions, and I have had the fortune of also having a lot of positive experiences in my life as well, and a lot of inspiring people in my life. So I would argue that for as much bad stuff that's happened to me, I've also had a lot of good stuff that's happened to me as well that certainly has balanced things out. But with that said, the bullying that I went through took a toll on me very severely, leading to mental health issues, and my life was left in ruins after high school, and I had to work for years to rebuild my life, to build up my social connections, to build up my mental health in a positive way. A lot of workshops and counseling, and it was hard. It was hard, especially because nobody cared and nobody understood how you feel. Until you meet those people that have been there and had those experiences, you feel lost. And I certainly know what it's like to feel like nobody cares, and that and feel like that you are alone. And I was very fortunate enough to find some people, as well as some organizations that dealt with people that had gone through traumatic experiences. And I met people that, that had very similar stories to me, and some cases a lot worse. And now that I'm in the youth care field, working with at-risk youth, you hear about stories that are much more severe than what I ever went through. And, even though that it makes my story seem like a walk in the park, it doesn't mean that your experience isn't any less valuable, because that was your experience, and that was hurt. You were hurt in your life. I think that comparing your experiences isn't really a good thing to do, because that was something personal for you, just like their experience was personal for them. So my life has been very difficult, and I've had to deal with a lot of stuff, and there are some people in my life that don't get that, and they look at things through a very narrow point of view, and they would rather fight me and bully me further than to actually understand what my experiences were, because they're not open to that. They're not open to understanding. They're just self-serving, so they don't. They're not interested. They're not empathic. They're very cold people. So, with that being said, there's been a lot of positive people in my life that have, that I've gotten support from. And there are times where, I felt like that you were on your own. And it's hard. It really is hard. And this isn't something that just happens overnight. You know, you don't get through it overnight, or, you don't just forget about it or don't worry about it and move on. You know, it's something that follows you, and you have to do a lot of work with managing your emotions. Trauma plays a big role in how people think, especially children that are traumatized can be very impactful of how they behave as adults. Development of mental illnesses, mental disorders, everything, in my opinion anyway, is stemmed from an abnormal amount of stress in the body. When you're constantly being stressed all the time, because your body, even though that is a defense mechanism, if you're constantly under a lot of stress and crisis, as a young person, as a child, your body develops stress disorders, where your body is producing an abnormal amount of adrenaline or stress hormones in your body over very small situations, that make you anxious, and that creates very anxious people. Of course, people are born with different levels of anxiousness. Some are more anxious than others. I have some family members that aren't particularly friendly. They put on a friendly face at times, and then, when behind the scenes they have a different personality, very two-faced, split personality. And I will say that I'm not just a victim of this. My parents have been victims of bullying as well in the past, and I think it's safe to say that even my parents are considered outcasts in a certain point of view. They're, in some families, bullying takes place in different ways. It can be done through exclusion. It can be done through direct verbal and physical, sexual abuse, threats, harassment, gossip, spreading of lies and rumors. And it can really isolate the victim, and create, and that's the point, is to isolate the person that they're targeting. So I have I have a few family members that have mistreated me, and these people are sociopaths, and they will not accept responsibility for their actions, their behavior. They will bully you, and then they will spin it on you that you're the problem, and that even to the point where they will project their behavior onto you. So basically, everything that they're doing, they will accuse you of doing. So I've experienced that as well. And just lying about me, spreading rumors about me, setting me up for failure and then blaming me for it. So it's it's a slippery slope when you're dealing with these people, how you react to them. And I have taken the approach of ignoring. I've taken the approach of confronting them, and of course, confronting your bully always makes things worse. Usually, they escalate, and it can be hard. It can be very hard to deal with, especially if you're dealing with somebody who is passive aggressive and has a certain personality in the family, and then behind the scenes is bullying you. So to make you look bad, like saying, well, that's not me, I wouldn't do something like that, and then accusing the other person of doing that. Any reasonable and normal adult would ask to resolve the issue with that person and ask for an apology. And that's what I've done. And this person refuses to apologize, won't work the issues out at all. Matter of fact, continues to try to provoke me and bully me. I have the fortune of not living with this person. This is an extended family member, so I don't live with this person, and I don't see this person all the time. Matter of fact, I don't see them much at all. Only when, some event happens that brings everybody together, because that's how disconnected this person is with me, because this person has made zero attempt to build a relationship with me, even though that I've done my best to build relations with my family. I admit that I have my own failings trying to build relations with family, and but at the same time, I have tried, and the other side just doesn't do their part, and so you kind of become stagnant, and you become disenfranchised, and you want to walk away because you're just wasting your time. I've done all that, and I've even said to this family member, listen, I'm willing to move on and build a positive relationship as long as you're willing to meet with me and to resolve all these issues. And I'm still looking for an apology for the mistreatment from this person. And, this particular family member is not interested in that. Matter of fact, she is more interested in herself, and she I don't think that she likes that I want to step in and try to resolve the situation. I think she wants to take all the credit for it, and and it's all about her, right? Because this family member is very selfish, and it's always about her. Has never admitted or taken responsibility for any of her mistreatment of me, her behavior, mistakes. Never takes responsibility for it, other than a disingenuous admission of wrongdoing, which only comes up when she's backed into a corner and has to answer for it. Basically, sorry she got caught. That's basically what it is. Sorry she was, that she was held accountable. That's basically the kind of apologies you would get. And that's not even an apology. That's just her way of getting out of a situation. And then when she no longer needs you, then you become a target. And she basically goes from Mr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde in a second. Suddenly she goes from being your friend to being your enemy overnight. So that's how fake this person is, and that's what these people do. She is a narcissist, and she is about herself and her interests, and she doesn't like being held accountable for anything, and she gets quite offended when she is held accountable. And then when I call her out on her bullshit and tell her off, and I admit that the way that I did that could have been done a little better. It was through email, and I was frustrated, but there was nothing in the email to suggest that that I was doing some kind of bad thing to her, because she spun it around and was telling my family that I'm bullying her and that sort of thing. And that's what these people do. They spin your words, they make up stuff about you and accuse you of things that aren't true, and without any evidence, and then they tell everybody and they spin stuff. And, she sent a letter to my parents years ago, and claiming that I was a drug addict and a drug dealer, and he basically taking shots at every point in my life. This is coming from a person who knows nothing about me, who has made almost zero effort to get to know me. Just all kinds of outlandish and disgusting accusations against me that none of them were true. And she wouldn't even talk about it. Very passive-aggressive and a very disgusting thing to do. And it was all just to turn my parents against me. And that's basically what that's what narcissists do. They try to isolate their victim, and that's the whole point. So this is an ongoing thing. It's been going on for a long time. I've always been an outcast in the family, you know, and a target from these people, whether indirectly or directly. You know, I think that it's mostly indirectly for the most part, but you know, there are others that have been physically and verbally abusive to me. I had another family member who did just that and was very verbally abusive to me, has assaulted me on a number of occasions, and was a bully. And he, you know, he's not with us right now. He passed away recently, and basically he self-destructed because he, you know, not only was an abuser to others, but he abused himself. So he lived a very self-destructive life. Even the lack of compassion with people, you know, it just shows that, you know, these aren't the type of people that you want to be with. And even though that I've reached out and said, hey, my offer's on the table, if you want to get together, resolve these issues, then I'm all for it. But till then, I'm not going to associate with you anymore. And I don't think I ever will with this particular family member. You know, and maybe one day she'll wake up and have an awakening, but I doubt it. I had another family member who who refused to invite me to his house for family dinner at Christmas. There have been a couple occasions where we were late to the dinner, and you know, that is you know, I take responsibility for my part, and my parents take responsibility for theirs, and that you know, that is a legitimate argument. You know, something that could have been easily resolved, I think, earlier. And I had all kinds of other accusations thrown at me that weren't true. And this is coming from somebody who knows nothing about me. He is a very, well, I'm going to say that he's very narcissistic. You know, he's made false accusations against me in the past, refuses to apologize for it, you know, and says some bullshit that, well, you know, I mentioned it to your dad. And I'm like, but you should have apologized to me. But he is so arrogant that that he can't do that. He can't apologize for anything. Neither did he apologize for anything that he's done, because he thinks that he doesn't have to. Because it's everything. Because it's everybody else's fault. It's never his. He unloaded a whole bunch of accusations against me. You know, none were true, other than the only legitimate one was he complained about me being late for his dinner, his family dinners. And even then, I think that he, you know, kind of, you know, going over the top with it, exaggerating it, I would say. But at the same time, legit. And so he called my dad, said that I wasn't invited anymore to his dinners and was going to lock me out of his house and all this shit, and that I wasn't welcome there. And just very passive-aggressive and very ignorant stuff to say, just outrageous. And it was all based on delusions that he's made up in his head. Instead of actually talking to me in person or on the phone to get the facts, to get what's really going on, he makes things up in his head. And that's what these guys do. That's what narcissists and sociopaths do. A lot of the time they make stuff up and they believe their own lies. A lot of them are compulsive liars. It was outrageous. I sent him an email a long time ago, and he's bringing up stuff that happened years ago and all this, that he got offended about me. And, you know, I'm like, why didn't you bring this up before? Why is he unloading 100 things on me at once? You know, and it's because he's passive aggressive and he doesn't know how to deal with this. He has no communication skills. That's why he does it. And so anyway, I had sent him an email because he was all, you know, he had a thorn up his ass about this email that I sent him years ago, asking him to call me. You know, because I said that email is not my favorite form of communication. I'd rather talk to him on the phone. You know, and I explained to him that I wanted to build a better relationship with him. And that was my intention. And he didn't believe me, and he just said bullshit to everything I said. And there was no reasoning with him. You know, he had no conflict resolution skills at all. He originally wasn't even going to resolve the issue with me. And I told him, you're making these accusations against me. I need to defend myself. And I'm going to tell the family what's happened here, and I'm going to defend myself. And I guess he didn't like that. It sounded like he didn't really want to, you know, get that out in the family. And I mean, I don't want to disrupt the family either, but, you know, these accusations, I don't want him to get away with that. I want him to be held accountable for what he's done. He reluctantly agreed to meet at his house. And my dad and I went up there to talk to him. And he was very hostile during the meeting, offended at every little thing, you know. He needed to grow a spine. That's what he needed to do. And everything I said, it was just bullshit to him. And I told him that, you know, we're not going to be able to move on if you don't compromise. If you're going to say that to everything I say, then we're not going forward. You know, he had no clue how to resolve a conflict without bullying, because that's what he did. He was very obnoxious and narcissistic, condescending during the meeting, mocking me during the meeting. And I told him, why are you disrespecting me when I'm respecting you in this meeting? Well, I don't know. Well, you, what you did to me? I said, I didn't do anything to you. And you know, he kept changing his story, and he kept coming back to the late dinner thing because that's the only argument that he ever had any legitimacy on, and everything else was just baseless. And he had no facts to back it up. He had nothing. He had just an outlandish argument. And you know, I sent him another email previously, trying to be as fair as I could, giving him positive feedback on certain things. You know, what I liked about him, and some things I didn't like about him, and he just called it shit. And I told him that was offensive. I should have told him to stick it up his ass, but, you know, I was trying to be as diplomatic as I could, to put things aside so I could see my family. And the fact that he was willing to do that to me, to smear my image, and to take that away from me was just absolutely disgusting and sick. And for someone to do something like that is very sick, and delusional. And that's what narcissists do. You can't reason with them. They do a lot of terrible stuff. And he thinks he's a hero. He thinks he's coming out of this as a hero. He's so arrogant. And, you know, he says that he wanted to make he made an intervention in my life years ago, or he attempted to, but he came off as narcissistic and arrogant and condescending and delusional and a savior complex. And he was totally in the wrong mind. He thought he was doing a great thing. And he says that to me over the phone, that I was a lost soul. I said, I'm not a lost soul, and you know nothing about me. And that's who these people are. They're, you know, so that's, so I did my best to be diplomatic with him. I had to use my counseling skills with him because he had no clue how to resolve conflict without bullying somebody. He's touting about how he was this great manager and that, well, he knows when people are playing games with him and you're playing a game. I said, I'm not playing a game with you. And then, if anyone's playing a game, it's him. And, it's sick. It's sick what I have to deal with. It's sick that these people mistreat others like this. And, we came to a resolution where he agreed to start over, where he would just, start from scratch with our relationship. Didn't apologize for anything that he did, even though that was disgusting what he did. Never apologized for any of it. Was very condescending and obnoxious with me. And not a person that I want anything to do with. And I agreed with him. We're going to start over, and I'm going to be respectful, as long as he's being respectful with me. But I just want to see my family. And my family isn't perfect, but I've always wanted a big family. Never really had an opportunity to have a close family. And although we used to meet a lot in the past, we don't do that so much anymore. So this person tried to take that away from me, and it was gross and sick. And that's what sociopaths do. I've done my best to resolve the situation, to provide an opportunity to be on good terms. And that's all you can really do. So that's about the gist of my story. This is common. This is common behavior for narcissists and sociopaths. So you may be asking, what's the difference between a psychopath, a sociopath, and a narcissist? Well, there is some difference between them. Major difference would be between a psychopath and a sociopath. Psychopath has no conscience. They just blink. Don't care. Will do anything to get what they need. Anything. That means killing even. And severely hurting. And that is a psychopath. Okay? Sociopath is a little bit more redeemable. A psychopath, you're born that way. Okay? Sociopath, you're not. Same with a narcissist. You're not born with that mental disorder. It's something that you develop over time. Usually because of themselves have been victims of abuse or trauma in their life, or have been around people that act like that, that are sociopaths themselves and have picked up that type of behavior. Now, I can't really say about these particular family members' past and how they've been treated because I really don't know. A narcissist does have some level of empathy, but it's very limited. It also depends on a lot of factors. But these people are very, very shut off from those emotions and are most of the time very passive-aggressive, or they are very reactive and hostile, easily offended at everything. They can't take criticism or feedback unless it's positive. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot that stood out for those two experiences that I've mentioned. One terminology I'll see is gaslighting. Gaslighting is when a person will make up stuff about you, and will, at oftentimes, even though there's another psychology term for it, that they project their own behavior onto you, they will accuse you of acting like them. And just generally shifting the blame to you. So if someone is bullying you, they'll say that you're bullying them, right? So that's called gaslighting, is when somebody spins it around and shifts the blame over to you, or makes up stuff about you and says that you're doing this and that. It's not true. So that is an example of both these cases, both the experiences that I've had with these two family members. They've used gaslighting against me, whether knowing or unknowing, they've used it. So my strategy right now is to avoid these people and really have nothing to do with them. I don't want them in my life, and that is one thing that is probably going to end up for a lot of people, is to avoid them. I think that it's very important that you're building up a support network, that you have people that you trust, that you can talk to make sure that you're feeling supported, even if it's a counselor or just someone you trust. Because the worst thing is for you to actually be isolated and to have nobody to go to, because that is what an abuser does. They take away all your support, they isolate you, you can't fight back, and you become a forever victim because they're a predator. So please, if you're in a situation like that, try to contact a counselor. If you're in a more severe situation where you're being physically abused and being and not having the ability to reach for help, you need to call 911. And it may seem like a very radical thing to do because you're scared of the consequences, but the police can help you. They can get you out of the house, help you get in contact with services that will aid you. If you need to go to a women's shelter, if you need to go to another type of shelter, if you need other services, they can help you with that. Okay? Now, an example of this is a particular family member who'd passed, the particular member I had mentioned that had physically abused me. He had cut off the phone of my other family member, who's also has passed away, and that's a form of abuse. Okay, he wouldn't allow her to call anybody, and he cut her phone off. Okay, and that led him to get kicked out of the house. The police were called, and that was that. But this is what I'm talking about. If somebody's not allowing you to contact others, they cut your phone off. If that's the case, go to a neighbor, call 911. Okay? Lastly, I'll say is bide your time. If you're living with a person like this, bide your time, record what is happening, write it down, buy a recording device, record what's going on, what they're saying, okay? And behind the scenes, build up support network, contacts, come up with a plan to escape or to confront the abuser. Because you can't live like that. You have to, it's not normal to be living under fear. And these people have mental disorders, and it's not normal. So you should never be put in that situation. You should never feel like you're afraid, that you can never, that you have to walk around on eggshells because you're going to make this person reactive. That is not a relationship. That is a tyranny. Okay, you're a victim, and they're being a predator. And that is not normal, and it's not right. If you're a young person, you're a teenager, you're growing up with somebody like this, and make sure that you tell your parents about it. And if your parents are not being supportive of you, you need to tell somebody else. Okay, you need to tell a counselor, you need to tell a trusted adult. And because if you don't have any support, you're going to live in misery, and you're not going to be safe. And it's not your fault that your parents don't believe you. It's not your fault that your caregiver doesn't believe you. You need to do what you need to do to keep yourself safe and to get out of the situation, okay? Or to resolve the situation. It's not fair and it is not right that you have to experience that because your parents or family don't believe you or don't care or they're part of the problem. It's not your fault and it's not fair to you. So you need to do what you need to do to resolve the situation and take matters into your own hands, okay? Go get help. Talk to somebody. It's easier said than done, I know. And there are a lot of cases out there that, you know, some people feel like they're stuck. And they will be stuck for a long period of time. But if you're planning and you let people know what's going on, it can help. Okay? Always seek the advice of a professional. This is my opinion. This is based on research that I've done. This is based on my own experiences and my own choices and judgments that I've done. Always seek the advice of a professional, whether it's a counselor, CYW, social worker, or somebody else that can give you professional advice on your situation. Okay? I want to end this video by saying it's always about them, not you. Okay? These people are sick, they have mental disorders, and they're mentally ill, and you need to look at it like that. Okay? It's not your fault, you're not to blame, it is them. Once you get into that mindset that you're not to blame, it will help you considerably, especially with your confidence. Because I used to feel that way when I was younger. I used to feel everything was my fault and I was to blame because these people manipulated me into thinking that everything was my fault. And once I changed, once I saw that it wasn't, it changed for me. Okay? I was able to fight back because I saw what they were doing. I saw that they were being manipulative and being dishonest with me and setting me up and trying to sabotage me. And that's something that you need to realize, okay? Because they will wear you down, and having a support network will help you with that. I want to wish everybody out there who's experienced this all the best. I pray that I pray that everyone will come out of this in a positive way, that will have support, that will have loved ones that will help them and are able to get out of their situation, because nobody should ever experience this. No one should ever go through it. You know, I'm making these videos because I care, because I've gone through it. I've been a victim of bullies, of abusers, of sociopaths, and I want people out there to understand and to understand who these people are. And I want to put out there that it is preventable and you can do something about it. You don't have to live your whole life being a victim and being a target of these people. Even though that at times it may seem impossible to fight back, you can, and you can eventually. You just need to bide your time. Okay? I wish you all the best. Please focus on your passions in life, what you love, the positive people in your life, and share those passions with those people. If you love to go swimming, go swimming. If you love to go to the gym, go to the gym. If you love to write, do art, play sports, read. If you love these things, then go do them and care about these things and care about these passions and share these passions with others. The people that are close to you, that make the time for you, that take you seriously, that are thoughtful about you. Keep them in your life. Tell them that you appreciate their relationship. Tell them that you care about them, that they're a good friend, or they're a good partner, or they're a good family member. Keep them close. Surround yourself with these people. Surround yourself with like-minded people who are positive, who have good morals, good character, who will give you that love. And the people that are being negative and toxic need to be removed from your life, or make an attempt to resolve the issue. If they don't want to resolve it, leave. You don't need this in your life. You don't need these people in your life that treat you this way. They will self-destruct eventually. Leave them. Don't waste your time with them. It's too taxing on you. Your focus should be on your goals in life, on living a happy and healthy and passionate life about things that you love to do. Whether it's helping people or services or sports or whatever it is, writing, whatever you love to do, do it. And if it's a challenge for you, try to find people that will help you overcome those challenges. Okay? So again, guys, thank you so much for listening. All the best for the people out there that are dealing with this. If you are an abuser, then you need to get help. You need to see a counselor, and you need to resolve these issues. Because what you're doing is you're hurting people, and you're causing misery in people's lives. Sometimes so much so that their lives are left in ruins. And it needs to stop. Please check out the 2 other videos that I made on this topic. I will post links in the description box below, as well as a few other videos that are related to this topic. Thank you so much for listening. My channel, just a quick update, my channel is back and up and running. A few delays because I've gotten away from my channel. But there's more content to come. I love doing these video vlogs, even though that I'm not making any money off it. But I really just wanted to get these messages out there, and for other people to understand that they're not alone, and that there is hope. And that's why I do this. I do this because I have a lot of things to say about different issues, and that's why I'm doing this channel, because there's a lot that I have to say. So guys, if you like this video, please give this video a like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so, and check out some more of my videos. There's a lot of stuff that I've put up, also on mental health, bullying at work. All the best. Cheers. Keep it locked on the Andrew K channel.